cataloger estimate the year he died, 1846. But there were lots of editions. It was all over Europe. Little flimsy comic books. The first comic fan, legend goes, was a little Don Plungata who wrote letters to Tupfer saying, "What a cool thing you got here." Tupfer had a reputation as a novelist. He wrote travelogues. He wrote dramas, and we have a lot of his stuff. But the European libraries are jealous that we have a complete set of his picture stories published during his lifetime. Like I said, the foreign comics are out at a remote storage, but I thought I should show you a couple. Here's a Tintin album, originated in Belgium, and this one is in Armenian. I just take the chance when things fall from the tree in any language possible, I get them. So we have a complete sets in French and Spanish, probably German, and well, now we have one in Armenian. Manga are a big thing. We have about 10,000 volumes of Japanese comics in mostly English, 3/4 of them English, but about 1/4 of them are in Japanese or other Asian languages, like they're available in Indonesian and Chinese and
Arabic.
Arabic.
They are. Yeah.
Are they? I don't know.
They are.
We have some native Tunisian manga that were.
Algerian manga's big.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I heard a talk one time about those.
Yeah, I have one. I should have brought it with me from the UK.
Well, I have some from Tunisia.
Okay.
But so manga style comics are like a virus. They're spreading all over the world. Even Germany. I was at the Comic Con in Erlangen, and all the stairwells were full of young girls reading manga. Very cool. Okay, now let's walk through some of these stacks. I think the first row we'll go through is we collect everything about comics that we can get to. So the first row we'll go through is mostly things about comics.
We've been trying to for years. Just wanted some of these last year.
So the numbers 6714 and 6725 are about comics.
Scott McCloud.
Push reset for us. Yep. And this one, on the left, continues for a little while the history and criticism. On the right, we're looking at what is now called graphic novels and was previously just books of comics done by individual authors or artists. In other words, they're cataloged by the name of an artist or a writer if it's a series that has multiple artists. So on the right, graphic novels. On the left, some more history and criticism. Probably about the biggest collection you'll walk by, because it only starts here. It keeps going. A lot of fan magazines along here. Magazines about comics put out by fans, fanzines.
decide what the library buys to the
Well, I'm basically responsible.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because
Yeah. No, nobody has interfered with me in 40 years.
yeah,
I said, can't get this because it's the lost girls or something.
so you get a reasonable budget then, so you can...
Now I have a reasonable budget. It used to be all
Good
things.
to hear that budget, some kind of autonomy in terms of what you're able to purchase, that's really good.
Some endowments now that
Yes,
Read it.
little money.
That's fine.
So I'm able to buy books about comics,
yeah,
sufficiently, everything that I see.
I think it's necessary, you're able to,
Regular American comic books, however, we don't normally buy. Those are donated in great quantities by collectors.
That's my
one of her
field.
things.
I was going to say, here, I'll give you my card if you're interested in learning more. I work for a development team, so anyone who's interested in donating comics or donating funds to help him with the purchase of comic studies materials, I'm the one who helps with that.
So how many comics do you get given, say, on an annual basis? A large number?
A large number, I'd say probably 20 to 30,000, depending on certain years are different than others. We have 2 or 3
Well, the crane
donors.
comes through, Crane is this guy.
Yeah, we have two or three individuals who love giving us comics every single year. Some years they don't. Some years they do. So it depends on.
Do you feel
those.
obliged to keep everything that you're given?
We don't. We do not have the space.
No.
So one of the things I always say when individuals are interested in donating, we're happy to accept. If they're in our collecting scheme, which pretty much everything is, as Randy said, we try and keep 2 copies of every item. In case something gets lost, damaged, or stolen, which doesn't happen normally, which is why we house them down here, because that doesn't normally happen. But just in case, we like to have a backup. If we, for some reason, get a triplicate, we keep the 2 that are in the best condition, and we sell the 3rd. Those proceeds come back to our collection to then keep spending and to keep using for the collection. We sell through our surplus store here on campus, through the university surplus store. So it's accessible online. It's to the south of campus. It is accessible online as well.
Yeah, limited hours physically. This
Yes.
is called a Big Little Book. This is one of the first attempts to get a little more money out of newspaper comics. We made about 600 of these. They cut apart comic strips, hired somebody to write a story that would make it make sense, and the bar spared it all. And they sold for a dime, and they made a little extra money. This was invented before the actual comic book that we know of today.
What year is that?
This particular one is, it was the 1930s and 40s. Let's
Okay,
see.
yeah.
1941 is when this exact one
It's
came
a
out.
lovely format, actually.
So 600 would be a perfect collection. We have 300 or so. So you'll be walking by those. What you're looking at here is things, 6728 is things organized not by a single artist or author, but by a title, because that's the most logical way. There are too many artists and too many titles, or too many writers. And then on the left, you'll see the beginning of the golden age of American comic books.
How many did you set for donation?
Who's the contact name then, if people wanted to donate comics?
Randy
or Randy?
Emily.
Okay,
I
Will-
have Mexican
thanks.
comic that
Oh, absolutely. Here's my card. You
But
can
it's
email me.
not a lot.
There's no limit.
could be 1, 2.
It could be 1 or 2.
100.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There's really no limit. As Randy said, we're looking at building that foreign language comics as well.
Oh, yeah.
So trying to help build that side of the collection is
Okay.
definitely important.
Yeah.
So
I found
absolutely.
some in my basement. So, oh, look at this.
Okay. Yeah, just feel free to give me a call and I can help you with the
Okay.
details.
Thank you. No, she couldn't. She's in a basketball tournament with my daughter.
Where's the picture?
Hi,
Oh yeah.
she's 9. Maybe we can send them next year.
Absolutely.
I came to
no, I get that because here in the UK, it always seems to be about superheroes all of the time, and you just think, well, there must be, so many other things going
And
on.
there is so much other stuff.
Yeah.
going on. So I wanted to point out that our regular American comic books are packaged this way. This is so that you can pull out the issue with its bookmark that's been requested without having to unpack, unpile anything. Since we got these things, the lights go off in 120 seconds. It used to be we had to put everything in a covered box because the light really speeds the deterioration of the paper. But the lights go out now, and so we can use these open boxes, and it's much more efficient to get out a single comic book. We have a complete set of classics illustrated. And most of the printings, we're still working on the missing printings. So the comics look about the same kind of boxes. Each number here, 0.2, 0.3, 1950s, 1960s. And the most newest ones are right here. So we'll walk back, we'll walk by that. Any questions at this point, or? Yeah.
How much do you have of the Bronze Age comics? Like, is that, do you have more of the Golden Age or the Bronze Age?
Bronze Age, yeah. And no, it's just a matter of the Golden Age is more scarce, and so fewer people give us that. The Silver Age, yeah. For those who are not in the lingo, the Golden Age is the 1940s. The Silver Age, might as well say, is the 1960s, 1950s, or when there were very few superheroes, because the ages we're talking about are superheroes. That's a kind of a foible of American comics, is that everybody thinks of superheroes first. And all through the 50s, comics were coming out in great numbers. We did an exhibit and picked one comic from every month of the 1950s and put them all up in one place. It was beautiful, and there was very little superhero involved, but it was amazing to see the variety in American comics and how much was being pumped out in the 50s, even though the collectors all say it was like a dead time. But it wasn't. It wasn't. So the Bronze Age is when we were getting started, and so people were giving us stuff constantly, even new stuff. And that continues until today. So we're pretty solid from 1975 up. And,
Did the collection begin with an initial donation, or how did this?
Mm-hmm.
a professor named Russell Nye was an English professor who had this radical idea that people ought to study popular culture, was aghast that we didn't have anything to help him with his research. He was teaching a class, and he talked two of his students into donating their collections when they graduated.
Wow.
And these were 1960s superheroes. So even though all the key issues, the Fantastic Four number 1 through 10 and all that stuff, were either not there or were coverless, we got a solid double run of the 1960s superheroes to start us out, and that was in 1970. So I started working here on the collection in 1974, and started putting it in order and begging for more, and the rest is history. It worked. I never expected us to have a Golden Age collection, but in 1979 or 80, a guy from Flint who had a racetrack, he owned a racetrack, he had lots of money, and he needed the big tax deduction, and he gave us our first 1,000 Golden Age comic books. They were prime. It was really good. Yeah. So anyhow, we're pretty universal right now. And there's still lots of holes in the collection, especially the 1950s. But people tend to be rather happy when they get here, except when they find out that what they asked for was only in photocopy. We had an example of that recently. So let's go through the last one, and then we'll be at 10:30.
Collector has that.
And it's on the left,
Copies on
the
Yeah,
newest
so
comic.
sometimes collectors, if you want a complete body, you couldn't find something.
Yeah.
You would get a facsimile a buddy. Cooper did that before he could find everything for his 2000s one. No, some of them he just gave up on because they were too expensive. Indie.
There's space for 'em now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I talk a lot of books that I would want to like actually read here, and I don't have time to like. I don't want to spend all of my free time reading in the reading room when I work here. I want to be.
You go, do you collect the superheroes serials from the 40s and 50s and such? Or?
Yes, that's the short answer. And radio programs and that kind of thing. Whenever we can get them to format that we can handle. So yeah, those would be part of our collection. We have a bunch of old cassettes sitting around.
Yeah.
We'll be glad to have them. Right. Okay, so let's exit, go back upstairs.
So let's just go
We
back
should
out.
probably go back out that and go back out the door that's right there.
Sure, that works.
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah, lead the way, Ed. Yeah.
Is the material in the paper envelopes just from before the lights?
No, it's because there's not enough for a box.
Okay.
And so I don't want to put a slipper thing by itself on the shelf. And there may be a mylar inside to stiffen it so it doesn't get funny in the handling, but
Okay.
no, there are things that didn't have enough of a whole lot.
Okay.
Hey Randy, thank you for letting me record this. This will be on a YouTube channel, Sequential Geek. I can write it down for you if you want to review it.
I don't need to review it.
Thank you then, I appreciate it.
That's good.
Congratulations on the Lifetime Achievement Award, by the way.
You saw that?
Of course, man.
Wow. Okay, let's go back upstairs and
I just want to double check, before we go upstairs, does anyone else have any questions? Before we go upstairs, does anyone else have any questions for Randy or for Mitch?
Just one, I bet everybody asks this, I apologise. So, do we know what the most valuable or sought after item, what it is that you have in your collection? The jewel of your collection?
The jewel.
The top part, probably.
It's whatever I'm the top person.
Yeah,
We have the first issue of Walt Disney's Comics and Stories.
okay.
Pretty decent shape. It's been asked for by so many journalists. But it's starting to get worn out, so I don't bring it out much. We have Wonder Woman #1, but we don't have, if the question really is this, we don't have the first Batman and we don't have the first Superman.
If you know of anyone who's willing to give them to us, please let me know.
Yes, I don't know, but I imagine that those would be very expensive.
Yeah,
They're-
they sell for over $1 million each.
They
Yeah,
do?
over $1 million
Okay.
each at least, yeah.
Yeah, and are there very many of such things?
There aren't. So what from my understanding, talking to other collectors, there are very few still in existence because people didn't think they would become valuable.
No.
So many people didn't store them. They didn't hold on to them. So the few that are still left are few and far between. The few that are in even remotely close to mint condition are even fewer than that. So the ones that even if to get your hand on one that's in terrible condition is still probably several $100,000 to be able to have
San
one of them.
Francisco State, I learned last night, just received a donation of a copy of Superman, which is hard to tell at the beginning from Action #1, which is the first Superman. But they got a copy, which would be worth an awful lot except for some of us. But, they're treasuring it as they should.
Well, you could always dream.
We have plenty of facsimiles of all these really, big comics. We have facsimiles published by the publisher, both in comic book form and in book form. So you've got that covered. You've got microphone.
Yeah. So we can see what it is like.
You can see what it's
We
like.
can't actually.
And Detective 27 was the first Batman. Detective Comics #27 did not have that. But we have Detective Comics #26, which is relatively worthless. But you can touch that. And it's the same. Just doesn't have Batman in it.
I'll do
contacts with collectors. I've had contact with Ron Gullard. Ron Gullard's a big comic book researcher. He was selling all the stuff on the internet, and I asked him why. So, no, nobody was no. So, don't you have this relationship with
I'm
these guys?
trying. The hard part is many times people don't think to donate to academia. They're not aware that these things are being collected, and a lot of people, they've invested their entire savings account in building these collections, so if they're in need of money, they're saving them to be able to have that money. We've had some individuals who are selling some of their rarer comics because they have medical bills to pay for. So we've had some cases where we get the second tier of what they have, because they have those expenses. So it just depends. I'm working to build relationships with a lot of those people. The hard part is, you know, in your case, if it's someone in Europe, how have they heard of MSU? So having people like you two who are from Europe who are willing to get me in touch with your friends who you know who are collecting them, please do. I'd love to be able to reach out and at least give them the offer of donating them here to MSU and have them stored forever. But a lot of it is just trying to get their names and contact information. Names can sometimes be easy, but it also might be after the fact if they haven't publicized their collection. So getting their names and contact information is really tough in order to reach out to them in the first place.
And the other factor is that there's a historical animosity of fans and collectors toward academia because of how little academia paid attention to comics. The whole century before, you know, the comics were important. Very few libraries touched them. And there was a disdain that fans could feel. Give stuff to some outside organization. So that's part of Emily's job.
Yep. So even though that's changing,
Let 'em know we're
it's
real.
changing slowly. So it's an ongoing process.
No,
It's until this generation go off, you will be more aware about that.
that's already changing. The new generation of professors is a lot smarter than the old ones.
And
Although there was an old generation who were smart. I mean, Lynn, you know Anne Miller?
I do. I've met her, yeah. Very, very nice lady.
Now there's Simon Gredden.
All right.
Sounds good.
I was going to say, as much as I'd love to keep talking, we are running late for the next tour. So if there aren't any more questions, then we'll go.
do you still play on Fridays or that?
No. Oh, no, that's Thursday.
Thursday now, okay.
I'm taking Fridays off.
Thanks.
I have a whole drum set.
I'd love to be able to talk to him. I know that Randy and our head of special selections, Leslie's always looking for ways to build connections and make connections with researchers around the world. So I'm happy to, not just that, for me to talk from him from his collection.
He's the new person to be in charge of that function for their entire
Well, that's fine. Hopefully if I